Hello, Mishbucha, it's Courtney, America's Jewish mother. Welcome back to my channel and long time no see. So just to go ahead and give you the life update portion of this video, I know some people know about this and some people don't, but my father did pass away back in January. So it was very hard for my mother and for myself because he was not even 72, he was maybe 71. He was a few weeks or several weeks shy of his 72nd birthday when he passed. And it was just a very quick progression. Around the week of Thanksgiving last year, he was still doing normal things. He was just kind of tired and worn out and exhausted and complaining of things like that. And then by a month later, he was not leaving the house anymore, except for my mother or me to take him to doctor's appointments, and he wasn't eating very much, and he slept a lot, and then on January 20th, he passed. So it was a very quick progression. This was never confirmed, but the doctors think it was probably colorectal cancer. But again, that was never really confirmed. When he had a biopsy, he had a CT scan that showed that there were spots on his liver and also a couple of spots on his lung. The hematologist thinks it did not start in the liver, that it had already metastasized to the liver from somewhere else. So basically, by the time they diagnosed that it was cancer, it was too late. Like, it was already in stage 4, and he passed literally 2 weeks after the cancer diagnosis. So anyway, as you can imagine, that was all a lot. So I really want to thank everybody who reached out to check on me and see how I was doing during all of this. Even if, you know, all you did was leave a comment on the video where I said I was going on hiatus for a while, I saw that and I appreciated it. Some people reached out to me on Voxer, some people reached out to me on, you know, Facebook or email. At least one person sent me a card. I really appreciated all of that, and I will say that even though this was obviously very hard for my mother and for me, that we felt very supported during all of this. I was able to get my classes that I teach here in Athens that were originally scheduled to be in person. Thankfully, I was able to get those moved to an online format so that I could go back to North Carolina and spend the last days of my father's life with him. That was kind of a lot to get everything transitioned from classes that I had originally planned and started actually teaching in person to then transition them to an online format, but I'm grateful that I was able to you know, have something else to kind of shift my focus away from the grief and the loss, even though obviously it's important to take time for that too. I think it's good that I was still able to kind of continue with the courses I was teaching, even if, you know, it maybe wasn't great there for a few weeks. So, also with the life update stuff, I'll add here that around Thanksgiving last year, my parents adopted a new rescue dog named Walter, and we shortened it to Wally. And so after my dad became seriously ill and had to be hospitalized about a week before he passed, my mom just felt like the dog was too much for her to handle, and she asked the rescue to take him back. And then a couple weeks after my dad had passed, I reached out to them and asked if there was a possibility for me to adopt Wally, because I was already very attached to him. So they said yes. And Wally is now a member of the family along with Charlene. So I'm going to insert a clip of the two of them here.
Okay, say hi, kids. Say hi, Wally boy. Hi, who's a good boy? Oh my goodness, it's you. You're a good boy. So sweet. Hey, Char baby, how's my girl? Good kids.
So at least there's a little bit of happy good news in the life update too. Okay, so since this is still book 2, I am gonna start making content again. So I have a BookTube Prize judging vlog for the Ox Finals round that will go up tomorrow after Robert announces the quarterfinals pairings. And right now I'm going to do a TBR, probably later this week sometime I'll do a book haul. I'll probably do a March wrap-up at some point. So I'm trying to get back to doing some kind of regular content. And starting to get back to watching people's videos and things like that. So, alright, so on to the actual TBR portion of this video. So, I actually have 3 buddy reads scheduled for the month of April. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. So, but I'm excited about all of them. So, the first one, I have, this is an ebook, so I don't have it here to hold up and show you, but it is Willa Cather's O Pioneers, and I'm going to do this as a buddy read with Britta Bowler. And I'm really excited about this because this is actually the first buddy read that Britta and I have ever done, so that will be exciting. And I've only ever read a few of Cather's short stories, so I'm excited to see what a full-length novel of hers is like. I really don't know anything about this novel, but I know most of her work is set out in the plains of the United States somewhere, so that'll be interesting to read about. Second buddy read is with Sina of Beating Around the Books, and we are going to read The Lost Children Archive by Valeria Luiselli. This was going around BookTube a few years back now, and mainly I know about it because it was Mark Nash's favorite book of the year a couple of years ago, and I don't really know anything else about it other than that. And I also know it has something to do with immigration, especially from Mexico to the United States. So that's really all I know about this. And yeah, so I guess more on this when after Sina and I actually start reading it. And then the last buddy read that I'm going to be doing in the month of April is The Sum of Us by Heather McGhee, What Racism Costs Everyone and How We Can Prosper Together. And I will be doing this as a buddy read with Margaret Pinard. And this pretty much is just what it says on the cover. It's a nonfiction book in which Heather McGhee examines racism from an economic standpoint. And I'm very interested to hear about that because I don't think I've ever seen that done before. And I think I've also heard several good things about this book, so definitely curious to learn more about it. This was also gifted to me last year by Lindsay of Lindsay's Book Life in our holiday book exchange, so glad to be getting to this one soon. So those are all the buddy reads I have scheduled for April. In terms of other books I plan on reading, I actually have another book that Lindsay gave me last year that I'm adding to my April TBR, which is The Ladies' Auxiliary by Tova Mirvis. So this is basically about a Jewish woman who moves to the close-knit Orthodox community of Memphis, Tennessee, and then the already precarious relationship between the Ladies' Auxiliary and their teenage daughters is shaken to the core. So basically this is like chick lit, but make it Jewish. So I assume this will hopefully be kind of lighthearted and maybe a little serious, but not too serious. So yeah, I'm interested to read this and see how I like it. We'll also, in April, be getting to a book that is on my 2022 priority list, which is Kazuo Ishiguro's When We Were Orphans. So I have 30 books on my 2022 priority list. Most of them, actually I think almost all of them, maybe all but one, are books that I already own but haven't read yet that I'm planning to try to prioritize this year. So this is one of them. So the only other book of Kazuo Ishiguro's that I've read was Remains of the Day, which I read in 2020 and was my favorite book of 2020, so I'm definitely excited to read more by Kazuo Ishiguro. So this is about a London detective named Christopher Banks. He was born in Shanghai at the beginning of the 20th century, lived there fairly happily until he was orphaned by the disappearances of his father and mother. He is a celebrated figure in London society, yet the criminal expertise that has garnered him fame has done little to illuminate his understanding of the circumstances of his parents' alleged kidnapping. So I guess we're going to hear more about that in the book, so excited to read this in April as well. And then lastly, I have a few reading projects that are in my 2022 reading goals video. And I have actually been trying to keep up with that, even through all of this stuff that's happened so far this year, personally. So one of those is a reread project. So I reread in January Cyrano de Bergerac, still loved it. In February, I reread Louise Glick's poetry collection Averno. Again, still really liked that. Right now, I'm one story away from finishing my reread of Cynthia Ozick's The Pagan Rabbi and Other Stories, which I'm also enjoying. So for April, I would like to reread James Joyce's collection of short stories, Dubliners. And this is a book that I've read more than once, but it's been quite a while since I originally read it or reread it. And I don't remember too much about it except for the final story in the collection, The Dead, which I remember as having one of the most beautiful sentences. The last sentence of the book is one of the most beautiful sentences in all of literature, as far as I'm concerned. So looking forward to my reread of this. Another project that I'm doing this year is an Asian American literature project. So last year I did an Arab American literature project. This year I'm doing an Asian American literature project where every month I read one book written by an Asian American writer. And in April I would like to read Thi Bui's graphic memoir, The Best We Could Do. And I don't really know anything about this except that a few people that I've heard who have read this have really liked it and spoken very highly of it, so I'm excited to read it for that reason. I picked this up from the library earlier today. It looks a little thick, but since it is a graphic memoir, I assume it will probably read quite quickly. But yeah, I don't know anything else about it other than that, so I will report back when I know something. And then the last book that I'm planning to read in April for a project this year is my genre fiction project, so I have been keeping up with that as well. But I have not actually totally picked out the book for April. It's between either the romance or the fantasy, because I started to read a fantasy book for March, but I ended up DNFing it because I just wasn't getting on with it. So it kind of depends whether the romance book that I want to read comes available from my library. I have it on hold. It's literally been on hold since mid-December, and it's now, as I'm filming this, March 31st, and it's still on hold. I'm number 3 on the list. So we'll see if I get it in April or not. If I don't, then I'll probably go with the fantasy selection instead. So more after I actually figure out which of those two genres I will be reading. So that's everything that is on my April TBR. If you have thoughts about any of these books or anything else, please do let me know. Let me know anything you've read recently that you've really enjoyed or that you're looking forward to reading in the month of April. I hope everyone is staying healthy and well. I hope you're doing good reading whatever you're reading. And until next time, would it kill you to call your mother?